Hey, ladies, I want to cordially invite you to the biggest event of the year, which is our Lady Strong Fitness Arenda Gala. It is taking place on Saturday, October 5th from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Just today alone, we officially announced one of our special guests, which is a harpist. She will be here for the first 90 minutes of the cocktail hour from 6 until 7:30. Each and every week leading up to the Arenda Gala, we will be announcing a special guest and or vendor. So make sure, if you haven't already done so, grab your tickets, be there or be square. We hope to see you guys there. With that being said, enjoy today's episode. Take care, guys. Bye. What is going on, ladies? This is Marcia here with another episode of Lady Strong Fitcast. Today, I have a special guest, none other than Coach Kristina. Her and we're going to talk about how she converted from member to now coach.
So the big question is this: how were two women who didn't cheat and purchase a gym franchise model, how were they able to spread their mission and purpose by empowering and transforming hundreds of women's lives through fitness, nutrition, mindset, and accountability with a micro gym business model of women only? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. We are Lady Strong Fitness.
Kristina, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. So I know who you are, but perhaps for some of our women who are tuning in today, can you tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So a couple years ago, to be exact, November will be 2 years that I joined at Lady Strong. Some people know this story, but my husband and I, Nathan, we went for a walk on my birthday, and I was kind of feeling kind of down a little bit because, I was turning a little bit older and things were changing, and it was a sunny day. He was like, let's just go for a walk. So we live fairly close to the Lady Strong, to the studio. And I have to be honest with you, I've lived in Schaumburg for many, many years. My husband eats at Taco Bell all the time, and I had never seen it. And we walked by it, and I was just so drawn to it. I was like, what is this place? And I was like a stalker. I was like peeking in the windows, and nobody was there. And I was like, I've never heard of this place, and it's for women only. And I really like this. And at the time I was at a different gym, trying my best, but things just weren't going the way I wanted them to go. Things were changing. I was getting older. Things weren't quite happening like they used to. So all of a sudden my phone started blowing up, Facebook, and there were all these advertisements for Lady Strong, and it happened immediately. And I was like, okay, fine. And I hit that little button. And the next thing I knew, I was meeting with Jess, and she and I remember our first meeting, came in there, interviewed with her, talked to her, had a great little conversation. And that Saturday, I think that was like on a Thursday, and Saturday I was in my first class, and I knew immediately that I wanted to be a part of that place. Not just, it was very strange. I was very, very drawn to it. And my entire life, I have been involved in some level of fitness back to like very, very young. Even in high school, I was one of the only girls in my high school that did the weightlifting class. And that was a long time ago. That was back in the 80s. It was just very different there. And I was very, very drawn to it. So I joined and started working out, and it's such a wonderful community that I knew immediately that I would permanently be there. So
it happened really fast.
It did. It did. And it was fun and inviting. Like I said, I had been at a different gym, and I was being told some crazy stuff for my age, like, you have to eat only meat. You can't eat, carbs. You can't do this. You can't do that. It was all about what I can't do.
Sure.
And that just wasn't working. So the atmosphere at Lady Strong was so different, and everyone was so open and willing to talk to me. And, that path started. And then I immediately knew that, I think I want to go into this a little bit more on a professional basis, something I've always thought about doing.
Yeah.
Just never pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
So,
So let's back up for a second because you've had your own personal journey as a member and got really good results. From you started out, you did the group, and then you last summer actually joined the semi-private that I was at that time, myself and another person were in charge of and coaching. So if you can share your overall experience of what that looked like for you as far as like from a physicality standpoint, the emotional standpoint, the type of results that you received to kind of paint a picture of that journey and what that looked like?
yeah.
Remember.
So at that point, like I said, things were really, I was noticing a lot of physical changes, not for the positive. They started with me at about 50. I will be 54 in October, and they really hit hard at about 50. Things were just going downhill. So it was actually Brittany. I just went to her and I was like, I'm really, really frustrated. I'm doing my group classes. I'm going. It started with the macro classes. I learned all about that, started tracking things. And then I joined with you in the one-on-one semi-private classes. I completely changed my entire way of thinking. My body changed. Brittany kept saying, be patient. We had to do pictures. That first day of pictures was terrible. And it's funny, I look at my pictures now and I just look so sad and down and sad, just awful in that first picture. But as time went on, each week, once we started working together and I started lifting heavier weights and doing more weights, not cardio,
Right.
everything just really started to change, and the changes happened pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think within 8 weeks, I had some drastic changes and I just felt so much better and so different.
Yeah.
So I can't say enough for those classes. They completely changed me. So I still somewhat try to follow the path that we started in those classes as far as like eating and all that stuff. So
I like that. I want to actually put your photo because you talked about how drastic they were and how sad you were. I know exactly what before and after photo you're referencing. And I want people, with your permission, I want to be able to show it in this video here somewhere, the transition of what you look like when you started that semi-private versus like after that 8-12 week mark, because you were taking progress photos every 30 days. And you could see like the definition in your obliques. And I mean, it was crazy. It was like night and day. But you said it happened so fast. And I want people to understand why it happened so fast for you, because people don't know you like I know you. You are consistent. When you put your mind to something, you are consistent with logging your food. You go by the Bible, essentially. And I think that that's something that these women need to understand. Even though it happened so fast, it was the work you were putting in outside of the gym that also contributed to that.
Yep. I have to say, a lot of friends outside of the gym come to me and they'll say, can you help me? Can you help me? And I'm pretty blunt with them. I mean, I'm like, I can give you advice, but you have to do it. And if you don't do it, nothing's going to change for you, because we are different when we get a little bit older. And I mean, I do track, like you said, I track every single day. And a lot of people are like, oh, I just don't have time to do that. That's a hassle. It truly is not. I mean, once you get started on it and you get used to it, it's just becomes very, very normal.
100%.
And you realize, that little handful of potato chips or that little handful of crackers or that little handful of this here, a little bit of there, it totally adds up and makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I am eating now way more than I ate when I started. So I was very restrictive of myself. I didn't allow myself carbs, food, I eat so much food now. It's amazing. Yeah. And it's all because I track and follow. And like you said, I am pretty strict, but it's because I get good results.
Yeah. I want to get vulnerable for a minute, because I remember sitting down with you on the bench, having a conversation, and you just started crying. Mm-hmm. And you were very transparent about how you didn't have a good relationship with food. And I only bring that up because you said now I eat more than what I had previously. And that just goes to show how you shifted your mentality into thinking eating less isn't going to get you the results, or for that matter, eating specific types of foods is going to either promote weight gain or whatever the case may be. So I thank you for you being transparent and having that candid conversation with me, because I think you're only where you are today because of your openness, if that makes sense.
It does. I will be very open. I think a lot of us are affected with this at a young age, especially in my age group. We came from a time of supermodels. Everything was supposed to be stick thin. And at a very young age, it was out of love, but it was actually my mom sat me down and said, you need to lose weight. You're chubby was the word she used. And she, again, did it out of love, but it was very impactful. And I ended up going down a very negative path. I ended up weighing about 80 pounds at one point, and was incredibly restrictive with my food. And that led to a lot of problems. I had, my daughter was born via in vitro, and a lot of that is contributed to probably some of those bad eating habits and things that I went through. So over time, I have grown to love food. That relationship has changed. I'm no longer afraid of it. It's not toxic anymore. I do log, like I said, but Brittany is the one who said it to me. Have your cake and eat it too. I have dessert every day. Yeah. Every single day I have dessert. So I owe a lot to Lady Strong, because they're the ones who really helped me embrace that. And, I don't think it ever goes away. I think people who have experienced that, it's just something that they kind of live with, and it's kind of tucked away. But the point is, I've learned to handle it now, and it's great. I have a very good relationship, and it's really part of what led me to want to become certified too, because I just want to be there to answer questions for people and kind of be an example that you can have muscle after 50. You can look good after 50. You can overcome eating habits, bad eating habits. You can do it all, but you kind of have to stick with it. So
let's talk about that. I want to talk about your transition from going from member now to coach. But before I do, you mentioned how you eat your favorite foods or snacks or cakes or desserts every night. And I like that you said that, because what you're doing is sustainable, meaning like you can do this for the rest of your life and not feel as though you're being deprived. And I appreciate you sharing that, because most women have this misconception thinking that, oh, I have to be strict. I have to be on a diet. I hate that word. And you and I, we know, no, we flexibly, and you should, because that's what's going to increase the longevity. So moving on, now you're a coach. Now you're on the other side helping people. You have a bunch of people coming up to you. Why did you decide to make that transition? And let's talk about being a coach. Like, how do you feel being on the other side? I don't think I've ever asked you that question.
Well, people did start coming up to me when they noticed some of the changes that were taking place. And I found myself, talking to them, and it was people, kind of some of the older people. And I really just wanted to be an example to those people. And it was very rewarding. And then kind of during classes, every now and then, somebody new might be next to me, or, across from me or something. And I could just tell that they were nervous, or, it's a little overwhelming when you come in there for the first time, right? And you see some of these people who know what they're doing. And it's very rewarding to me to watch people start out like I did, in a place that I was somewhat unhappy. And some of the ladies now that I started with as green stars, and I see them now, and they're confident, and they're happy, and they're coming in, and they too are getting results. That to me makes me happy.
Yeah.
It really does. It brings joy to me. I mean, I have a full-time job. It's not about doing it for money. It's truly about wanting to be there for other women, let them know, this is a great community. We have the tools, we can help you. And watching them grow just is very meaningful and impactful to me.
I love that. That says a lot about who you are. And it's because of you too, because I didn't have a clue that you were the least bit interested until I think it was you approached us and you're like, I'm actually working on getting my certification. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, where did this come from? So and you had already, at that point, you had already started and I had no idea. Yeah. So again, it moved really fast, but I think I want to thank you for, again, just putting yourself out there, because most people would assume that because, I mean, there's a stigma in the industry, let's be honest, because maybe of your age or your background that you're not fit for something like this. And you fit right in. You fit right in just like a glove, not only with the team, but with the community. I mean, it's like you're one of us and you are family. And I feel the same way as you do. I appreciate you and the love that we have for these women and seeing all their progress throughout, the weeks and years. And it's so rewarding. It really is. And I remember there was a point in time in my career when I first started out and I wasn't doing it for anything, practically nothing. And I mean, look at us now. It's crazy how far we've come, and it makes me really excited for the future. And I always ask, and I want to ask you, because I always ask at the end of each episode this question: if you had any advice for anyone that's tuning in today, regardless if it's someone that's on the fence about joining Lady Strong Fitness, or even they're a part of the community, but they're just struggling, like they hit a plateau or threshold, and they need some sort of guidance or assistance, what would be your advice for those two types of people?
Well, first of all, I was both of those types of people. So the one thing that I would say is if you are a member and you're just coming to classes, that was me. In the beginning, I was coming to classes and I was not tracking anything. I wasn't getting involved in all the extras that we offer people, like the challenges, and do them. Do every one of them, because you will get results from them. Some of them cost money. Some of them are free. Do what you can, get involved, and try to do every one of them, because you learn so much from them. I mean, some of the stuff that I'm learning in certifications, I learned in the studio, right? So just by doing some of these extra things that are offered as part of your membership at Lady Strong. So do those and you will get, results. If you're struggling though, please reach out to somebody, because everybody there wants to help, from the front desk people to all the coaches. I mean, there's different certification levels amongst all of us, but we'll get you to the right person. We'll help you get with the right person, because I too plateau. I mean, you have to change things up a little bit. And I'm still coming to like you and saying, okay, here's what's happening right now. What do I do?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Come to people and say, I'm struggling, help me, because that is literally what I did. And I mean, literally changed my life. So
Awesome. Yeah.
Best advice is please come up to us,
ask
us, and get involved.
I would 100% agree with that. And I think that's where most people fail, is because they're afraid to ask for that help. And I think by now everybody should know that there's no such thing as a silly question, and we're always here to help. So I appreciate you for sharing that. Now, before we end the episode, what would be your advice for someone that's kind of on the fence about joining Lady Strong Fitness?
Well, I can speak to this again, specifically. I have a friend who I'm really, really trying, and she's really struggling. And I keep telling her, you need to join Lady Strong Fitness. Not because I'm a coach there, because of, my experience there. So many people say, oh, it's expensive, or there's, my answer to that is you go out to eat all the time. You buy stuff for yourself all the time. Invest in yourself.
Yes.
The best investment you can do, because you're going to feel amazing. So try it out, give yourself 90 days, but really, really try it. Don't be, half in, half out. I mean, throw yourself into it, get involved. You're going to see the results. Those results are going to tell you, I need to stick with this. You can find a way. I mean, like I said, it may mean you don't go out to eat once or twice a week or something, but do what you can to join. You're going to get results, and those results are going to keep you there.
I love that. That's good advice. With that being said, Kristina, I know you're a busy woman. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do appreciate you coming on the episode today. And ladies, thank you so much for tuning in of another episode of the Lady Strong Fit Cast. Have an amazing day, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care, guys. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel or find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or whatever your favorite place is to listen to podcasts. And if you really liked this episode, please leave a review for us on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.